Hey YouTube, I'm Andrew Roeder with Gunslinger Tactics, and today I want to talk about belt options and holster options, whether you're competing or you are just going to the range to train, have fun, or you're into the whole kit idea, I guess, of plate carriers, battle belts. So I want to talk about some options that you have for belts and what can work, what I use. Um, I think there's a lot of options out there, but the main question I get is, what equipment do you have? It's always what equipment do you have? It's necessarily not about the equipment, but I did want to touch on belts. So I've got a number of different belts here. I'm just going to kind of go one at a time, go through them, and then later on I'm going to talk about um, options that you have with holsters and kind of the time differences I'm seeing, at least for holsters. So let's start with the belts here, though. So I'm just going to start off with actually a general leather duty belt. Um, this is a duty belt that you'll see police wear or people in the private security sector. It's just a 2 inch, generally a 2 inch or 2.25 inch leather belt like this. I would not recommend this for competition shooting. This is just a simple buckle style in the front. Um, there's other ones that are actual buckles that you can get. Um, and then they have a Velcro underbelt. But this is a duty belt. You'll see people shoot these at competition. Generally, if you see this, they're probably security or law enforcement. I would not recommend using this for doing competition unless this is what you want to train with because you carry that for work or whatever. Um, I would not recommend it. So that is an option. And underneath this, you would have a regular leather belt. And what you do is these are called keepers. What they do is they go through your belt underneath it. They loop around and then they connect with the buckle here, and that's how they stay attached to your belt. So that is an option. I don't recommend it, but it is an option. Um, Not a whole lot of tech locks do fit on 2.25 inch duty belts. They do, but there's just better options if you want to run competition that I wouldn't that I would go with over that for sure. Then you get into your dedicated belt, such as like a double alpha belt. So for USPSA, very specific, like, hey, I want just a USPSA belt. Um, there's a few different options. This is a double alpha. It's not the only company that makes them. There's plenty of other companies that do. There's ratcheting systems. This is just a general Velcro system that they offer. So it actually has just a underbelt that you put on. So you put this as your underbelt, and it's all Velcro. This is I believe the hook side or the loop. I don't remember, but you put this on, and then this goes over it, and it attaches. Velcro is really strong side to side. That's what keeps Velcro together. Pulling Velcro up is what releases it, but the side to side, that didn't hold, but the actual side to side is what's keeping it from going anywhere. I mean, you have to pull pretty hard to actually get this apart. So, and then it comes with another Velcro piece that goes over, kind of like a keeper, just to hold it in the event this comes off. It retains it from going any further. So this is an option. This is a great option if you're doing just USPSA. Like I said, there's other options. They have a ratchet system instead of this Velcro, which is really great too. And they have a Lynx system, it's called. And the Lynx is, a lot of people have gone to the Lynx because they don't want Velcro. It does wear out after some time. So a lot of people go with the Lynx system, and that allows it to actually fold up on itself. So if you do traveling or anything like that, honestly, if you're not doing traveling, I think this belt works just fine. It's not much cheaper. It's a little bit cheaper. Um, Plus, who doesn't want a Heroes belt, the American flag? So that is an option, double alpha. I run the double alpha, just X-ray pouches. I think they're great. These are the aluminum ones. I don't think it really matters. I just got them on sale, so that's why I bought them. And then just a regular Safariland drop is all I run. I run basically Safariland drops on all my stuff. They're just really easy due to the quick lock system that I have. I have a number of different holsters that utilize the QLS system. There's a lot of better options out there. This is what I've had. This is what I ran for years, and so I have a ton of pieces for it, which is why I haven't changed. So there's other companies with with just as good stuff, if not better. So it's an option. I'll go over holsters, like I said, but let's finish at least the belts first. So this is another option, Double Alpha. This is a belt. This is the Safariland. I can't remember what this belt is specifically called, but it's their like competition belt, Safarilands. Now this is great. I run this for 3-gun. This is the ability to put stuff wherever you want on here. A lot of other belts allow you to do the same, depending on the mounting system you have. I went with this because I had a lot of the ELS, which is what these are. These are ELS clips. This is the equipment locking system. Like I said, there's other options out there that are actually probably better now. You don't need as many parts, and you put them on different belts. The ELS works great with this because this belt is designed for that. It has holes in here that you put the screws through. So if you look at the back side of the belt here, that has 2 nuts that go into here, or 2 bolts, I should say, and then you have the nuts on the front that hold it. And it allows you to be able to take this equipment off, just a lot like the QLS. Allows you to push them, take it off, and now you can move this anywhere on the belt. So I can move it up to the front, I can move it to the side, which is great because if you're running, I have my 3-gun shotgun mags back there, but it allows you to be able to put, shotgun mag up front maybe, and the rifle mags in the back if that's what you want, or if you want a canted mag in the front, you can change your equipment around. Or I'm doing a stage where it's only rifle, or it's only shotgun, or it's only pistol, so I can, slick this belt out. That's a great option to have. This also has an inner belt as well that goes with it. This is a Velcro belt, so it does give out after time, but it's a pretty good belt. It's pretty sturdy. It holds on by putting 2 of these 2 nubs. Excuse me. These 2 nubs actually go in the belt, and then it has a tab, a leather keeper or tab, essentially a lot like a keeper that I showed you at the first belt, but it's built into this belt and it just kind of loops over. And this is pretty sturdy. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. Even if the Velcro on the belt itself is given out, it generally holds up pretty well. So another option is this. Allows you to have the ELS system incorporated into it. So another option, and I'd say outside of some other, there's other brand belts, like I said, these are kind of the bigger name ones that a lot of people use. So the last option would be more of your battle belt, as it were. So this is a battle belt. I mean, there's a ton of different companies that make these things. A lot of the people who basically got into the equipment stuff in 2019, 2020, when everything kind of happened, a lot of people bought a battle belt. They bought body armor, bought all these things, multi-cam, everything, which is great. Although if you're wanting to do competition, obviously I think there's much better stuff than a battle belt out there. But if you are more into the preparedness and this is what you want because you want to have the camo stuff or whatever, fine. This does work. Some of the stuff that you can put on these obviously are, pistol pouches, dump pouches, which are great. You can put dump pouches on other belts now. There's solutions to all that sort of stuff now. But this is what I will run for 2-gun. I will run the ELS belt for 2-gun as well, but I don't mind running this at all for 2-gun. I like the level 3 retention. So once again, another QLS system on a holster here with a Safariland drop. That's what this is, the Safariland drop. I have that with a leg strap. It just helps if you miss the retention on this, and I'll kind of go into that. But if you miss the retention on this, and you're pulling up the gun, if it doesn't fully release, then you don't have to worry as much about the holster going up the side of your leg. If you have retention, pulling it to your leg, it allows you to give some time to defeat this retention if you hadn't fully defeated it, to then be able to get the gun up. So that is an option. Like I said, I don't recommend these for competition shooting. You can do it. A lot of people do use some of these, but they don't use really necessarily S-Tac pouches. There's pouches that probably work a little bit better for that. The unfortunate part about the S-Tac pouches is you have to mold them to get them to fit, and at least through my experience, it's honestly easier just to use other pouches that are just designed for being able to speed draw out of them. The S-Tacs are very stiff, and you have to pull them out, remold them. And I've molded them so many times, they don't really work the greatest anymore. They still retain the pouches, but they're just not great for speed loading, for doing any of that. So that's what I've found, at least through using this. Other people may have a different experience, but that's what I've found. So another option. Now with this, a lot like the Safariland, a lot like the Safariland belt, you actually have to put a underbelt, or I guess Safariland, and the double alpha belt. You have your Velcro inner belt. This is for the inner belts for battle belts. They're a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger. The inner belt for like the double alpha is a little bit shorter. It just doesn't need to be this big because the battle belt itself is this big versus the double alpha belt's a skinnier of a belt. So a little bit bigger of a inner belt. I mean, I've used this a lot, and you can buy extra inner belts. This is usually, these get worn out. If this gets worn out on the inside, the Velcro, you're just going to have to buy a new one. I have found that once it's too worn out inside, they just generally don't stay very well. And the load bearing capability of these is reduced quite a bit. These do hold their shape, which helps, which is, I prefer the belt that holds its shape versus kind of flops around and makes it a little bit harder, I think, to grab things off your belt, in my opinion. So that's another option. Now, as far as holsters go, one of the things I hear the most in classes is, hey, why do you run a level 3 holster? The whole level 3 holster is slow. I want a holster that's faster because I need the gun to come out faster. Now, granted, the types of holsters that you have generally that you're going to see is going to be, let me grab a few here. The type of holsters you're going to have are going to be your like general level 1 holster, which is a holster that has retention solely based on the fact of it pushing against itself, so pushing against the gun. So Glock here, put it in. The only retention that's keeping this in here is the sheer fact of compression of the holster against the gun itself. And if you have a light, it's generally against the light. If you don't have a light attached, and it is against the slide and like the trigger guard, kind of. So that is the main holster I'd say that you're going to see people using as a level 1 like this. Now there's a different type of level 1. I believe it's the Raptor holster. They from Carry Concealment, I could be wrong on that. Their holster actually doesn't have, I don't believe it has any retention on the sides. It actually has just a magnet on the bottom. So you defeat the magnet and the gun comes out. So a little bit different, but it's essentially a level 1 holster. It has something compressing it that is, something that's keeping it in there that's not a ALS or SLS, generally what you're going to hear referred to as auto locking system and self locking system. That's very common with Safariland holsters. I know Blackhawk and Alien Gear make holsters that are level 3, I believe, retention. They have a little bit different locking system, but basically it holds true that the locking systems are based on how much retention the gun has in the holster. This just being one level of retention, which is just the compression holding it in there. It's a level 1 holster. Now, you have a level 1. This is a level 2, and then you have a level 3. So the difference in these two is a level 2 holster has the auto locking system, at least is Safariland specific. A lot of other holster companies follow some sort in that realm once you get into levels of retention. So this has the self-locking system, or correction, auto locking system, which means that when the gun goes in, I don't have my Masterpiece Arms is what this fits, a 2011 holster, but if I take my level 3 and I put the hood down, it's essentially a level 2. Putting the gun in, it locks just by itself, auto locking system. This nub here is what's doing it. So you push that, gun comes out, you put it in, and the nub self locks as it's going down. And what it's doing, it's actually locking on the hood of the gun here, or the chamber area. That's what it's locking on. So guns with ports, what you'll find is ports, I believe it was the Agency Arms Sage Dynamics Comp. If you put that on like a Glock and put it in one of these holsters, if the gun is out of battery, So if you have it slide locked like this and you have one of those compensators on, it will actually get hung up in this until you have it in the holster and you send the slide forward. While it's in the holster, then it will come out because it gets stuck on the auto locking system. So some things to be cognizant of there if you're using these. Now, the difference between a level 2 and a level 3 is the self-locking system, which would be the hood here. Self-locking, I have to activate it to get it to work. So self-locking, hence the name. So the auto locking just happens by putting the gun in the holster. If I don't move the hood back, it's just going to sit there. So I have to push the hood back. So when I draw, I have to deactivate that. I have to push down on the hood. So the hood gets deactivated. I then have to manipulate the auto locking system, and then it allows the gun to come out. Level 3 retention is generally what you're going to see police carry, or once again, private security, military. A lot of the military, generally what you'll actually see is more of the level 2. They don't really need the hood as much. The reason the hood is nice is for law enforcement is defeating that. It's a lot easier to defeat retention on a law enforcement or private security's holster to take it from them if it doesn't have a hood. Now, if it has a hood, a little bit harder. That hood's got to come forward if you're essentially, from your point of view, if I come over to attack it, to grab it while it's sitting on a belt, I would have to manipulate the hood forward, then manipulate this, and I may get caught on the hood. If the hood doesn't go all the way down, if you have this problem and then you try to pull the gun up and it gets stuck on the hood, I mean, these holsters are very strong. They take a lot to have something give out or break. And generally what we actually see is the hardware will strip if the wrong hardware is used. If they don't use proper length screws, things of that nature, we'll actually see stuff like that break, or you can have cracks in the holster, but it doesn't happen that often. So what's nice, like I said, about the level 3 is the sheer fact of very hard to get out of the holster if you're attacking it from the front. Like I said, the biggest complaint that I hear from people, especially in the police world, is, hey, I want my gun to come out faster. I don't want to use a level 3 holster. I want level 2. I want a level 1 because I'll get the gun out faster and therefore it makes me better in a gunfight. Sure, there is some truth to that. This holster is faster, sure. If you practice with this, you can become extremely fast with one of these holsters. I think one of the fastest people I've seen with a level 3 holster is actually Mil-Spec Mojo. Extremely fast using one of these. I am pretty fast using one. I'm not as fast as him, but I would say routinely for me, at least first shot on target, it's roughly about 1.25 seconds from a buzzer, a beeper, shot timer, as it were. So it's doable for sure. If you just practice, you can defeat these retention pretty quick. So I'm actually going to run some B-roll just after I talk about this next holster, and then I'm going to come back and finish up with that. So lastly, you are going to have some sort of holster that allows you to put race guns or have a bikini style holster, as it were, which is what this is. This is a Double Alpha Flex holster. This is for one of my race guns. Now, this holster is great for scoop drawing. That's where you're going to see a big time difference between a level 1, a level 2, level 3, whatever, between a level one of those and a scoop draw style holster, bikini holster. That allows you to actually have your hand at the side. As soon as the timer goes off, you just pull up and it's one motion. You don't have to come down and attack the gun, versus this style of holster, you're sitting there waiting. You have to attack down on it because this doesn't allow to scoop draw. Scoop drawing is simply, for those who don't know, scoop drawing is just coming up and grabbing the gun without having to attack it, as it were. Attacking versus coming out down on the beaver tail, so having to come up, down on it, and then pull it out. A race style holster like this allows you just to scoop draw, which is how you see those draw times in the 0.3s, 0.2s, first shot on target by, name the number, and it's probably been done out there. 0.3 of a second, 0.5, half a second. So the scoop drawing is where you're going to see considerable difference in time, if that's what you're using it for. Otherwise, generally what you're seeing people use these type of holsters for is for the race gun, the full out, competition, USPSA open or IPSC open guns that are running, 9mm major, 38 super comp. So that's where you're seeing this style of holster or limited optics. And it does allow for faster draw, but some people just like the minimalistic holster, so they don't have to come and attack the gun as much. So that's the main differences in holsters. There's other types of holsters out there. This is another 2011 holster. This is by Range Kinetics. They make a holster where you put it in, has no retention at all. It just kind of sits in there. And then you can actually lock it by pushing down on this once the gun is in, and it actually will fully lock the gun. It can't go anywhere. So this is another great design. Problem is, when you come down on it, this is your method of retention that you have to defeat in order to have it come out. So you'll see a lot of people actually use this in two gun and 3-gun, just due to the fact of just the one thing to manipulate. That's it. And the gun is in there. It is not going to come out. That's the advantage with using a level 3, is you don't have to worry about the gun coming out, versus your level 1. Why a lot of people don't use this in 2 and 3 gun is because, let's say you have to do a stage where you have to lay down, or you hit something, or you run by a prop on the stage. This could easily get ripped out of there. Or if you fall and you're still in it, where you haven't pointed the gun in an unsafe direction or whatnot, and this didn't fall out, or this could fall out. So that's another option, or that's another reason why people don't necessarily run them. Now, you will see people run them. It can be done. It's just fine. But generally, a lot of people will run either a level 2 or a level 3, or some variant of that type of locking holster that allows some sort of retention, other than the sheer fact of it can just come out by pulling on it hard enough. So those are the options. I'm going to run some B-roll now of me shooting on the range with this specific holster and this holster. I just did some 5 and 6 shot groups. I got a little off right at the beginning, so some of them are 6 shot groups, some of them are 5 shot groups. But really, what I wanted to show is the difference in speed if you practice. I'm not the fastest holster drawer. I'm averaging, I think, with this holster around 1.1 second, and with this around 1.2, if I remember correctly. But you'll hear it in the video. I call them out. It's about 8 to 10 minutes in length, and you'll get to see the target, see how I'm shooting at 7 yards, and just see what the difference is, because I don't think it makes as much of a difference as people say. It really just comes down to, what are you practicing with? Yes, is it easier to do this consistently? Yes, versus if you're attacking this fast and you miss the retention and now you're wasting time having to defeat it because you had a bad draw. Yes, you are wasting time. But that's not to say that this holster, this holster is not usable. It is. You just have to practice with it. And that's what it ultimately comes down to, is practice with your gear, practice in dry fire. I think that is the number one thing that, when people ask me that question, is, how often are you dry firing? Well, never. Okay, that doesn't help either, because if you're never dry firing, you never practice, well, it's no surprise that you have a hard time defeating this type of holster. So that's what it comes down to. But let's roll the footage and then we'll come back. All right, so I'm going to run just this double alpha belt here instead of my battle belt. I've got level 3 holster, Safariland, and then just a level 1 retention holster, just your standard holster that most people use for competition. I'll start out with the level 3, and then we'll go to the level 1. So got extra ammo up here, but we'll shoot 5 rounds each time into this target, and do it 10 times total, and we'll get a score. I'll talk them off here as I shoot it. So we are at about 7-8 yards, somewhere in there. So, all right, first run. I think I shot 6 there. I did. So we'll just go with 6 for every time. So first shot, 119 for a total of 213. So looks like I got at least 1 Charlie there. So stand by. Ooh, little trigger freeze. First shot, 113 for a total of 204. That was 5 shots. That was 111 for first shot. Total time 183. We actually got enough ammo in here yet to go one more time. All right, first shot 112. Total time 183. Got a little wild on the hits. So that was run number 4. Just keep going here. We run number 5. First shot 112. Total time 183 on run 4. Stand by. Took a little bit more time than I needed to get on my sights. First shot 120. Total time 190. 5 shots. Stand by. All right, total time 188. First shot 118. That was number 6. All right, number 7. Stand by. First shot 115. Total time 186. It's number 7. It's number 8. Stand by. First shot 114. Total time 183. All right, this will be number 9. A little bit faster up on the gun. Total time 179. First shot 111. Number 8. This will be number 9. Stand by. Ooh, got a little wild there. First shot 104. Total time 173. All right, one more. Stand by. Oof. I stared at my dot too much. First shot 117. Total time 187. So that is a total. There's some 6 rounders in there. But let's pace this target up. So I'm shooting a little low. But let's pace this target up. Oof, that delta hurts. 2 deltas. Oof. Could speed up the time, but the first shot was really the bigger issue, to make sure that I'm really getting the best results out of strings of fire. Each holster type here. All right, so let's switch holsters. Too many rounds are in this. 6, I got enough for the first one. All right, single retention holster. All right, same thing. Do 5 shots. Hopefully I don't screw it up and get 6 in there. 5 shots. Ooh, got a little wild. First shot 101. That's good. All right, total time 170. First shot 101. Stand by. A little bit better. First shot 110. Total time 179. That was number 2. This will be string number 3. Stand by. Ooh, I got a little bit even more wild. First shot 99.99. Total time 164. String 3 is going to be string 4. Ooh. 105. First shot 173. Total time. String 4. Stand by. A little bit faster on the trigger pulls there. First shot 101. Total time 163. All right, string 5. A little bit faster. At least it's feeling faster. First shot 103. Total time 166. All right, string 6. First shot 103, total time 163, string 7. First shot 0.99, total time 159. Getting a little faster, I think, just due to the fact of running this drill so many times. I believe that was string 7, string 8. First shot 105, total time 167. String 9, I believe. All right, first shot 108, total time 174. Last string, stand by. All right, total time 167 for first shot, 1.03. Let's take a look at the hits here. Yeah, so the extra delta, the 2 deltas, 3 deltas actually over there. Those hurt, but this was more or less to just get a better understanding of, at least in my opinion, the level 3 draw versus a level like a single retention holster like this. More the competition style is, you know, what are you gaining from this? Obviously speed. You are you're having to do less work, but just interesting, at least for me, being I run a level 3 holster for work, that going to a single retention, I just practice enough that I can get the time. And now, like I said, there's other things like scoop drawing and all that sort of stuff, but just interesting results if you do practice, that you can do this at speed. All right, so as you saw there, it wasn't a huge number. Granted, I could be faster with either of them just by more training. And, you know, there's obviously variables in there, stuff that's going to be different each time I do it. That's going to change a little bit, but I was pretty consistent on both holsters. So pick what you're going to use it for, and get a holster that works for you. Ultimately, if you want a scoop draw, buy a holster for scoop drawing if that's what you want to do, if that's what you want to be fast at. If you want a level 3 or a level 2 because you want more retention for doing 2-gun or 3-gun, especially 2-gun because it's getting so popular, and 3-gun is kind of falling away, I think, just due to that longer range aspect of it. A lot of people are buying red dots with magnifiers and don't necessarily want to shoot 600-700 yards away. So a lot of people are going to the 2-gun stuff because it can be done at USPSA ranges. So that is what, you know, my suggestion would be, is get a level 2, get a level 3 if that's what you're, you know, you want some sort of retention and don't want it to fall out. But ultimately it just comes down to buy what you want, practice with it, make sure it's good enough. It's not some $10 holster from, I don't know, Uncle Ben's or Uncle Mike's, whatever that holster company was. It was just absolutely awful that people were buying for years, that doesn't retain your gun at all. So pick one of those and practice with it, and we'll see you out on the range. Thanks for watching.